we're going to do a tier list of his physique. We'll start with his delts. Got a lot of roundness in these side delts, a little bit of roundness going on here in the front delts. I think he needs to just rotate the arm back a little bit, so it kind of points off for posing, but I think the muscle is there. The only thing is the rear delts could be a little bit more defined, and I think the lower traps and the rear delts are a little bit less defined compared to the upper traps. Generally, the lower traps and the rear delts go a little bit more hand in hand. For this reason, I'm going to say that the shoulders are B tier. Looking at the traps, I think the traps have the ability to be very big and thick. He's got a lot of mass on the upper trap so far. They have a cool insert where they have that swivel appearance. They come about halfway down his body. To me, this is going to be somebody who's going to have a really good upper back line whenever he's doing his front double bicep. When you're also looking at the big infraspinatus, you're looking at the big teres. They're very round. That's A tier potential right there. But looking at the lats, so we just don't really see as much development there. What's kind of crazy is we see a ton of development in his erectors. So this is one of the rare cases where you have a lot of development in the erectors, but not the lats. Generally, people with erectors have some lats. We're not really seeing much lats in this scenario. So it could just be that this pose doesn't really show off what he's got. But basically, I'm going to say that the erectors are A tier because they look freaking thick. Like, look at these boys. You see just so much thickness across here. You see separation between the erectors. Like, this is a lot of density, okay? But then there's no lats. So we're going to say that the lats are C tier. He could definitely get more lats, but we just don't see it from this angle. Then we look at him from the front. I love the forearms. So much roundness in the forearm brachioradialis. A lot of roundness and kind of bumps going on here in the forearm flexors. Good vascularity, good amount of size. They're just fantastic forearms. So we're going to call those A tier, baby. And they definitely have S tier capability. Looking at the shoulders, shoulders from the front, side delts, nothing to change there. But compared to the arm, I think the arm, it's looking thick. It doesn't have a ton of roundness though. It's got a little vascularity. And if we look at kind of the triceps from the other side, we see a little bit of tricep, but it's nothing crazy. For the vascularity, I'll say the biceps are slightly better, but for the most part, I'm going to just count both of them as B tier. They're not a problem. They're just not adding to the physique necessarily. Looking at the chest is more medium to slightly higher insert, but he does have the chest kind of dent right here. So as he gets more development in his chest, these fiber bundles are going to be separate from these fiber bundles. And then he's going to have this crease right here. So this is cool. Therefore, I'm going to give his chest B tier because he hasn't quite developed it yet, but it has really good capacity to potentially come up here to A tier later. We look at the abdominals. They're not quite thick enough. He has a little bit more obliques than abs, but not by much. What I would say is for somebody like this, you either cut down eventually once you've built the mass that you want to build, and then you see how we're looking, or we decide that we just want to hypertrophy our abs and we go for more of a stacked overall look. I think this kind of physique would look great with a stacked look. So I'm going to say that the obliques and the abs are actually C tier for now. And that's because we're at a crossroads. Do we want to be big? Do we want to be thick? Or do we want to be skinny and aesthetic? And it's kind of, those are the two different routes. And if we go for more of a saturated look, which I think that this guy could pull off, he should just train the abs and get some more thickness going on there. And especially with his wider frame with the lower insert traps, I think that the stacked look could look very good on this kind of physique.